Life has a funny way of keeping us on our toes, doesn't it? We set goals, chase dreams, and yet time and time again, we find ourselves standing at unexpected crossroads, wondering how we got there. It's in these moments when the path ahead seems foggy and uncertain that the quiet hum of a greater plan begins to reveal itself. And while it's not always clear in the moment, every step, every stumble, every leap of faith is shaping something far bigger than we can imagine. We crave certainty. It's human nature. We want the blueprint, the timeline, the guarantee that everything will work out exactly how we envision it. But life doesn't hand out roadmaps. Instead, it offers moments, tiny, seemingly insignificant moments that stitch together the fabric of our journey. That setback you faced, maybe it wasn't a setback at all, but a redirection. That relationship that didn't last, perhaps it was meant to teach you something essential about love, about yourself. Even that lingering question of why me might just be the fertile ground from which growth, resilience, and strength bloom. There's a beautiful, almost paradoxical truth about surrendering to a greater plan. It's not passive. It's not giving up. It's the courage to trust that even when the dots don't connect yet, they will. It's understanding that life often works in whispers before it shouts. It's in the moments of stillness, of solitude, of uncertainty, where the plan is quietly unfolding, weaving together our experiences, our choices, and even our pain into something meaningful. And let's be honest, trusting this process is hard. It's vulnerable. It requires us to let go of the illusion of control. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of everything we yearn for: love, belonging, joy. Trusting that there's a greater plan is one of the most vulnerable things we can do because it means acknowledging that we don't have all the answers. And yet, in that vulnerability, there is freedom. There is peace. Think about the moments that shaped you the most. Were they the easy, predictable ones? Or were they the moments that cracked you open, that challenged you, that made you question everything? Often it's in the discomfort, in the unknown, where the most profound growth happens. It's almost as if life is whispering, "There's more for you. Keep going." This unfolding plan is not about perfection. It's not about a seamless journey free from hardship. It's about transformation. It's about becoming. Sometimes the plan leads us through storms, not to break us, but to teach us how to dance in the rain. Other times it places us at the edge of our comfort zone, nudging us to take that leap, to embrace the unknown, to trust that even if we fall, the net will appear. What if, instead of resisting the twists and turns, we leaned in? What if we viewed every detour as a divine recalibration? What if we believed deep in our bones that even when life feels messy, unpredictable, and downright unfair, there's a thread of purpose running through it all? We may not always see it in the moment, but one day we'll look back and realize that the plan was unfolding all along. The people we met, the challenges we overcame, the dreams that evolved, they were never random. They were brushstrokes on the canvas of our lives, creating a masterpiece that only makes sense when viewed in its entirety. So as you navigate your journey with all its highs and lows, hold on to this truth. Even when the path is unclear, even when the plan feels elusive, something greater is at work. Your story is still being written, and every page, every word matters. Trust the unfolding, embrace the unknown, and know that the plan is already in motion, perfectly designed to lead you exactly where you're meant to be. Life rarely announces its intentions. One day, you're moving along, following your carefully laid plans, and the next, you find yourself standing in the middle of uncertainty, wondering how everything changed so quickly. It's in these moments, the ones that leave us questioning, doubting, and sometimes even fearing the unknown, that the quiet work of a greater plan is often taking shape. We don't always recognize it because it doesn't come with flashing signs or clear instructions. Instead, it comes through unexpected twists, unplanned detours, and moments that challenge our very sense of direction. There's something profoundly human about wanting to control our journey, to have certainty about where we're headed and how we'll get there. But life, in its infinite wisdom, often teaches us that the most beautiful stories aren't the ones we plan. They're the ones that unfold when we least expect them. When life throws us off course, it's easy to feel lost, frustrated, and even abandoned. Yet, what if being thrown off course is exactly what needs to happen for us to discover something greater? What if the path we're meant to take can only be found when we stop clinging to the one we thought was right? It's hard to trust this process when we're in the middle of it. We want answers now. We want clarity now. But there's an undeniable beauty in realizing that even in the moments when everything feels uncertain, a greater plan is quietly being woven together. What we see as a disruption might actually be a carefully orchestrated moment designed to push us towards something we never would have found otherwise. What feels like an ending might actually be the necessary space for a new beginning to emerge. This unfolding doesn't always make sense in real time. Sometimes it feels like chaos, but chaos, as uncomfortable as it is, often serves a purpose. It shakes us up, challenges our assumptions, and creates room for growth. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, feeling overwhelmed by the winds and the rain, only to realize later that the storm was clearing a path that wasn't visible before. Life's unexpected moments are like that. They feel turbulent when we're in them, but they often lead to clarity, strength, and purpose once we've walked through them. The beauty of a greater plan is that it doesn't need our permission to unfold. It works silently, often without our awareness, stitching together moments, choices, and experiences into something we couldn't have crafted on our own. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the most profound journeys aren't the ones we design, but the ones we allow ourselves to trust, even when we don't have all the answers. Every unexpected moment, every twist in the road is shaping something meaningful, something that will one day make perfect sense. Until then, all we need is the courage to keep going, trusting that even when we can't see the full picture, the plan is already in motion. We often view setbacks as failures, as moments when life didn't go our way. But what if they're not failures at all? What if they're redirections, gentle or sometimes not so gentle, nudges from life pushing us toward something better, something more aligned with who we're meant to be? It's so easy to feel defeated when our plans fall apart, when the path we were so certain about suddenly crumbles beneath our feet. We ask ourselves, why did this happen? Or what did I do wrong? But maybe the question isn't about what went wrong, but rather, what is life trying to show me? There's something humbling about realizing that our vision, as clear as it may seem to us, is often limited. We see only what's in front of us, but there's a bigger picture we can't always grasp. When something doesn't work out, a job we didn't get, a relationship that ended, an opportunity that slipped through our fingers, it's easy to believe that we've missed out. But what if instead we've been protected from something that wasn't meant for us? Or better yet, what if we're being guided towards something far greater than what we imagined? It's in these moments of disappointment that we're faced with a choice. We can let the setback break us, or we can lean into it, trusting that it's part of something larger. This trust isn't easy. It's uncomfortable, it's vulnerable, and it often means sitting with the unknown. But vulnerability is where courage is born. It's where resilience is built. Every setback, every moment that didn't go as planned carries within it the seeds of transformation, if we're willing to see it that way. Think about the times in your life when you thought everything was falling apart, only to realize later that it was actually falling into place. The path you ended up on may not have been the one you envisioned, but it often turned out to be the one you needed. Life has a way of rerouting us when we're headed in the wrong direction, even when we don't recognize it at the time. And sometimes that rerouting feels like a setback, but in reality, it's an act of grace, a recalibration that ensures we don't settle for less than what we're meant for. When we embrace the idea that setbacks are often redirections, we begin to see life differently. We stop fearing failure and start understanding that every closed door is guiding us to another that's meant to open. We start trusting that even when the path is difficult, it's leading us exactly where we need to go. And that trust, that willingness to believe that something greater is at work, even when we can't see it, is what gives us the strength to keep moving forward. What feels like an ending might just be the beginning of something extraordinary, something we never could have planned, but something that was always meant for us. Surrendering to a greater plan is one of the hardest things we'll ever do. It feels counterintuitive, almost like giving up, because we're wired to believe that control is what keeps us safe. We plan, we organize, we strive to shape our lives exactly how we think they should be. But life, with all its unpredictability, often has other ideas. And in those moments when our grip on control starts to loosen, we're faced with an uncomfortable truth. Real strength isn't about holding on tighter, it's about having the courage to let go. Letting go isn't passive. It's not sitting back and waiting for life to happen to us. It's an act of profound bravery. It's saying, I may not understand where this is going, but I trust that I'm being led somewhere meaningful. That trust is terrifying because it requires vulnerability. It asks us to stand in the unknown without guarantees, without certainty, and believe that something greater is unfolding. Even when everything in us wants to resist it, there's a deep vulnerability in surrendering to a plan we can't fully see. Vulnerability often gets mistaken for weakness, but it's actually the most accurate measure of courage. It's the willingness to show up, to keep moving forward, even when we're scared, even when the path is unclear. It's the quiet voice that whispers, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to trust this process anyway. And that kind of trust, it changes everything. When we release our need to control every outcome, we open ourselves up to possibilities we never could have imagined. The plan that life has for us is often far greater than the one we have for ourselves, but we only see it when we're willing to loosen our grip and allow it to unfold. It's in this surrender that we find freedom. Not freedom from challenges or uncertainty, but freedom from the exhausting need to have it all figured out. This doesn't mean the journey will be easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments when we question if we've made a mistake, moments when fear tries to convince us to take back control. But every time we choose trust over fear, we build resilience. Every time we lean into uncertainty with an open heart, we invite grace into our lives. Surrendering to a greater plan is not about giving up. It's about showing up fully, embracing the unknown, and believing that even when we can't see the entire path, every step we take is part of a larger, beautiful story that's still being written. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. We're taught to see it as a weakness, as something to avoid, something that makes us too exposed, too fragile. But what if vulnerability is exactly where life's most profound moments begin? What if instead of being a sign of weakness, vulnerability is the gateway to everything we crave? Connection, love, joy, and even purpose. Trusting that a greater plan is unfolding in our lives requires us to embrace this vulnerability, to stand open-hearted in the face of uncertainty, and believe that even when we don't have all the answers, we are still being guided. It takes immense courage to admit that we don't have it all figured out. There's an undeniable strength in saying, I don't know what's next, but I'm willing to keep going. Vulnerability is that bridge between fear and faith. It's standing at the edge of the unknown and daring to believe that even if we fall, there is something greater waiting to catch us. Vulnerability doesn't mean we won't feel fear. It means we refuse to let fear make our choices for us. It means opening our hearts to the possibility that even the most challenging seasons of our lives are shaping something beautiful within us. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we allow ourselves to be seen, not just by others, but by life itself. We step out from behind the walls we've built for protection and say, here I am in all my uncertainty, in all my imperfection. And in that space, we create room for transformation. Vulnerability is where connection happens. It's where we find the courage to love deeply, to dream boldly, and to trust that even when life feels messy and unpredictable, there is a greater plan at work. Think about the moments in your life that have truly changed you. Were they moments when everything was easy and certain, or were they the moments when you allowed yourself to be open, to take risks, to lean into the discomfort of not knowing? Vulnerability invites us to grow. It strips away the illusion of control and reminds us that real strength is found in our willingness to be open, to hope, to trust, to believe. The beauty of embracing vulnerability is that it doesn't just transform our journey, it transforms us. It allows us to experience life more fully, to connect more deeply, and to trust more wholeheartedly. And in that trust, we begin to see that every moment, no matter how uncertain, is part of a greater plan that is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. Vulnerability isn't the enemy, it's the birthplace of every meaningful experience we'll ever have. It's where the magic of life's unfolding plan truly begins. Growth rarely happens in comfort. We want to believe that we can become our best selves without ever leaving what feels safe and familiar. But life doesn't work that way. The most profound growth often comes from the spaces that stretch us, challenge us, and make us question everything we thought we knew. It's in those moments of discomfort and uncertainty where life's greater plan is quietly shaping us into who we are meant to be. And yet, it's human nature to resist this. We crave stability, predictability, and ease. But growth asks more of us. It asks us to step into the unknown, to face challenges head on, and to trust that even when we feel lost, we are being guided towards something meaningful. When we find ourselves in the middle of hardship, it's easy to feel like we're stuck or that life has abandoned us. But what if those moments are not obstacles, but invitations? Invitations to grow, to evolve, to become. It's uncomfortable, even painful at times, but discomfort is often the catalyst for transformation. Think about it. The moments that shape us the most are rarely the easy ones. They are the moments that push us, that force us to dig deeper, that teach us lessons we never knew we needed. Growth isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about leaning into it, trusting that every challenge is refining us in ways we can't yet see. There's something beautifully paradoxical about growth through discomfort. It feels like breaking, but it's actually building. It feels like falling apart, but it's actually falling into place. Life's plan doesn't promise us a smooth path. It promises us a meaningful one. And meaning is often found in the cracks, in the uncertainties, in the moments when we feel most vulnerable. Every struggle, every setback, every question mark is a piece of the puzzle. It's easy to see the discomfort as something to escape from, but what if it's the very thing preparing us for what's next? Trusting the process means understanding that growth isn't always comfortable, but it's always worth it. It means believing that even when the path is difficult, it's leading us somewhere significant. The challenges we face are not detours from the plan, they are part of the plan. They shape our character, strengthen our resolve, and open our eyes to possibilities we might never have considered. And when we look back, we often realize that the moments that felt the hardest were the ones that propelled us the furthest. Growth through discomfort isn't a flaw in the plan, it's the very essence of it. It's where we become who we are meant to be. Letting go is one of the hardest things we'll ever be asked to do, not because we don't want to move forward, but because holding on feels safer. We cling to our plans, our expectations, our idea of how life should unfold, believing that if we just hold tight enough, everything will fall into place exactly as we imagined. But life has a different rhythm, a different timing, and a wisdom far greater than our own. And sometimes the most profound act of trust is found in our willingness to release our grip, to surrender what we thought should be, and to allow what is meant to be to unfold. There's a deep vulnerability in letting go. It feels like stepping off the edge of certainty into the unknown with no guarantee of what comes next, but that's where trust comes in. Trust is not passive. It's an active choice we make every day. It's choosing to believe that even when our plans fall apart, there is a greater plan still holding us. It's choosing to believe that even When we don't understand why something didn't work out, there is a purpose being woven through every moment. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making space. Space for growth, space for new opportunities, space for life to surprise us in ways we never expected. It's in the moments when we loosen our grip that life often steps in with its quiet magic. When we let go of what we thought we wanted, we create room for what we truly need. But that doesn't mean it's easy. Letting go often comes with grief, the grief of lost dreams, unmet expectations, and paths we'll never walk. Yet within that grief is also freedom, the freedom to trust that even the things we release are part of our becoming. The freedom to believe that what is meant for us will never pass us by. And the freedom to embrace the unknown, knowing that we are never alone in it. Letting go is an act of courage. It's standing in the tension between what we hoped for and what is unfolding and saying, I trust that this is part of the plan. It's choosing to believe that every ending is also a beginning, every closed door is redirection, and every moment of surrender is an invitation to something greater. When we let go, we don't lose control, we gain clarity. We begin to see that the plan isn't about clinging to what was, but about embracing what is and what will be. Life's plan is always unfolding, not in the tightness of our grip, but in the openness of our hands, our hearts, and our trust. Perfection is the illusion we often chase, believing that if we can just get everything right, life will finally fall into place. But life's plan isn't about perfection, it's about transformation, it's about becoming. And becoming is messy, imperfect, and beautifully human. We are not meant to have it all figured out. We are meant to grow, to evolve, to stumble, and to rise again. The unfolding of a greater plan in our lives isn't a straight line to some ideal version of ourselves. It's a winding path filled with detours, lessons, and moments that shape us in ways we never expected. There is freedom in letting go of the need to be perfect. When we release that pressure, we allow ourselves to fully experience life as it is, not just as we think it should be. We begin to see that every step of the journey, the triumphs and the failures, the joy and the heartbreak, is essential to our becoming. Life's plan is not about reaching some flawless destination. It's about who we become along the way. And becoming requires us to be vulnerable, to take risks, to face our fears, and to trust that even when we don't see the full picture, every piece matters. Transformation isn't about arriving, it's about unfolding. It's about allowing life to shape us moment by moment into the people we are meant to be. And sometimes that transformation comes from places we least expect, places of pain, uncertainty, and even failure. But those moments, as difficult as they are often the ones that refine us the most. They teach us resilience, compassion, and strength. They remind us that we are not defined by our mistakes or missteps, but by our willingness to keep going, to keep growing. When we trust that the plan is about becoming rather than perfection, we give ourselves permission to be human. We allow ourselves to embrace the process, to find meaning in the mess, and to believe that even our most imperfect moments are part of something beautiful. Life's plan isn't about creating a perfect version of ourselves. It's about becoming the truest version of ourselves. And that journey, the journey of becoming, is where the magic happens. It's where we find purpose, connection, and a deep sense of belonging, even when the path is unclear. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. The plans we made unravel. The certainty we clung to disappears, and we're left wondering how we ended up so far from where we thought we'd be. It's tempting to see these moments as failures, as signs that we've lost our way. But what if they're not? What if the detours we fear the most are actually the very things guiding us toward where we're meant to be? Life's plan isn't always a straight line. It's often a series of unexpected turns. And every one of those turns holds a purpose we might not see yet. It's hard to trust this when we're in the thick of it, when we feel lost, we want to fix it, to find our way back to the path we thought was right. But maybe that path wasn't ours to walk. Maybe the detour isn't a mistake, but a recalibration, a way of redirecting us towards something better, something more aligned with who we're meant to become. There's a quiet grace in realizing that even the moments that feel like setbacks are part of a greater plan. They're not here to break us, they're here to shape us. We often believe that the shortest path to our goals is the best one, but life has a way of teaching us that the most meaningful paths are rarely the easiest. The detours, the ones we never planned for, are often where we grow the most. They force us to confront our fears, to adapt, to find strength we didn't know we had, and in doing so, they prepare us for what's next. Every time life reroutes us, it's an opportunity to trust, to let go of our need for control, and to believe that even when the path is unfamiliar, it's leading us somewhere significant. Trusting the detours means embracing the unknown. It means believing that even when life doesn't go as planned, there's a plan. It's about finding peace in uncertainty, knowing that every twist and turn is intentional. The path may not look the way we imagined, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes the plan that unfolds is far greater than the one we envisioned, but we only see it when we allow ourselves to trust the journey, even when it doesn't make sense. The detours are not distractions, they are divine recalibrations, quietly leading us to exactly where we need to be. Gratitude has the power to shift everything, not because it changes our circumstances, but because it changes how we see them. When life feels overwhelming or uncertain, it's easy to focus on what's missing, on what hasn't gone our way, but gratitude invites us to see what is already here, what is already good, even when things feel hard. It's not about ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding light even in the darkest moment. And when we do, we begin to recognize that every part of our journey, every high, every low, every twist in the road is part of a greater plan that is still unfolding. Gratitude isn't always easy. There are days when the weight of life feels too heavy, when disappointment clouds our vision, and when hope feels distant. But even in those moments, there is something to be grateful for. A lesson, a connection, a moment of grace we didn't expect. When we take time to acknowledge these things, something shifts within us. We begin to see that even the hardest days hold gifts, that even our struggles are shaping us in meaningful ways. Gratitude reminds us that we are not alone, that life is still full of beauty, and that every experience, good or bad, is part of a larger story. Embracing gratitude doesn't mean denying our pain. It means holding both our pain and our blessings at the same time. It's about recognizing that even when life feels messy and uncertain, there is still so much to be thankful for. And when we practice gratitude consistently, we build resilience. We become more open to life's plan, more willing to trust the process, and more aware of the quiet miracles happening around us every day. Gratitude grounds us in the present moment and reminds us that even when we can't see the whole picture, every piece matters. The beauty of gratitude is that it doesn't just change how we see our journey, it changes how we experience it. It softens our hearts, deepens our connections, and strengthens our trust in the unfolding plan. When we choose gratitude, we choose hope. We choose to believe that even in uncertainty, life is still working in our favor. And that belief, that quiet acknowledgement of all the good that exists, even in the midst of challenges, is what helps us keep going. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a practice, a daily choice to see the beauty, the lessons, and the grace woven into every moment of our journey. And when we do, we realize that life's plan is not just unfolding around us, it's unfolding within us, one grateful moment at a time. As we stand at the intersection of where we are and where we hope to be, there is a quiet, undeniable truth weaving through every moment of our lives. The plan is already in motion. It has always been in motion, even when we doubted it, even when we couldn't see it, even when we resisted it. Life's plan doesn't need our permission to unfold. It simply asks for our trust. And trust is never easy. It asks us to let go of our need for control, to release our grip on certainty, and to believe that even in the midst of chaos, there is purpose. This journey of trusting a greater plan is not about finding all the answers or reaching some perfect destination. It's about becoming. It's about allowing life to shape us, stretch us, and transform us. It's about embracing vulnerability when we'd rather hide, finding courage when fear whispers louder, and choosing gratitude even when the path is unclear. Every detour, every setback, every unexpected moment is part of a larger story being written in real time. And even though we may not see the full picture yet, every piece matters. There will be days when we question the plan, when we wonder if we've taken a wrong turn or missed a sign. That's part of being human. But if we listen closely, there's a still, small voice that gently reminds us we are exactly where we're meant to be. The lessons we're learning, the challenges we're facing, and the growth we're experiencing are not accidents. They are intentional, they are necessary, and they are shaping us into the people we are meant to become. This journey is not always easy, but it is always meaningful. It's in our willingness to trust, to let go, to embrace the unknown, and to find gratitude in the present that we discover the beauty of life's unfolding plan. It's not about waiting for a perfect moment or a perfect version of ourselves. It's about showing up every day with an open heart, believing that even when we can't see the whole path, each step is guided, each challenge is purposeful, and each moment is a thread in the tapestry of a plan far greater than we can imagine. And maybe, just maybe, the true magic isn't in reaching the destination, but in realizing that the journey itself is the plan. Every stumble, every triumph, every quiet moment in between, it all matters. It's all part of something bigger, something deeper, something more beautiful than we could ever plan for ourselves. So as we continue forward, may we do so with courage, with gratitude, and with the unwavering belief that even when life feels uncertain, the plan is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. And we are exactly where we are meant to be